The Zack Snyder cut is here for the Justice League. Now, if you watched my original review of the original Justice League, then you know how I feel about that movie. If not, I'd suggest go check it out to see my thoughts so we can compare and contrast here for a little bit. I'm not going to touch on the controversy that led to the creation of this movie, and honestly, I went into this with very, very low expectations. As someone who doesn't really genuinely like Snyder's movies that often, I was still hesitant about this, but I'm so glad that he was finally able to make the movie that he wanted to, because I'm always rooting for the filmmaker in these situations, especially when a studio interferes with like they did, and it's just good to see Snyder finally get to see his full vision up on the home screens and at home. Yeah, this movie's been released on HBO Max, so if you have HBO Max, you can view it for free. And let's just get one thing out of the way. It is 4 hours long. This is a 4-hour movie. It is a beefy film, but I feel like the 4-hour cut of it definitely gives the script more breathing time. It allows for more characterization to happen, especially with characters like the Flash and Cyborg. So let's talk about Cyborg for a minute. In the original movie, he was basically just the guy who plugs into computers and machines and makes them work. Whereas this movie, he's a full-fledged character. He has aspirations, dreams, flaws, and he's 1,000 times better in this movie. And he went from a background character to probably what I would consider the main character of this movie. He's that important to the script, to the story, and just how well the team gets together. So yeah, Cyborg definitely became one of my favorite characters in the movie. He probably was my favorite character in the movie. Whereas in the original, I would say the Flash was. Now, the Flash isn't as bad in this one. I think he honestly is better, too. Remember how in the old one where all of his lines were just cringy jokes? Well, in here, yeah, of course he's the humor of the movie, so he does have some jokes. And thankfully, a lot of the cringe is gone as well. But in this movie, he's definitely more of a well-rounded character. I feel like the one person that they really didn't do justice for was Aquaman. In the original, he had a lot of jokes and more personality than compared to the Snyder Cut, so seeing him fall back a little bit was kind of disappointing, but you get that in the original, and it's not too much of a fault here where he's unrecognizable as a character. Wonder Woman, I think, is more badass in this one than the original. She's killing people. She's smashing people's skulls apart, and then she takes time to consult people that she rescues. I think she's just overall a much better and more compelling character in this movie. One of the best things about this is I feel like this is the best version of Ben Affleck's Batman we've gotten. In the original Justice League, again, I'm going to be comparing them a lot, we got a lot of awkward humor with Batman that didn't fit his character whatsoever. Thankfully, all of his jokes, I believe, most of them, like 90% at least, are gone. There's no more cringy Ben Affleck telling a joke Batman, and I, for one, am so thankful for that. Henry Cavill is once again perfect as Superman. I think he's the best Superman ever. I know God rest Christopher Reeve's soul and everything, but Henry Cavill is Superman. A big improvement on this movie also is Steppenwolf. He is 10,000 times better than he was in the original cut. In the original, he had no motivation at all besides the fact that he was a planet conqueror. In this movie, they give him a clear motivation for trying to get back on Darkseid's good side, and he's just overall more badass, more character-driven, and he's just a more well-rounded character. Something also has to be said for the action. I don't know how they did it, but the action scenes in this movie are much better. They're more action-packed, they're more gruesome. This movie is much more violent than the original one. It is a rated R movie, and it doesn't hold back very much. You'll notice that the movie is filmed in an aspect ratio of 4:3. Now, this isn't your TV settings or anything. This is just how they made the movie. It's for IMAX, and a lot of times filmmakers stretch that to fill screens in movie theaters, but Zack Snyder decided not to do that here, and I honestly didn't mind it. After the first hour or so, I didn't even realize what I was looking at. It didn't distract me whatsoever from the movie, and I still think the movie looked gorgeous. For what this movie had to go through to get made, the CGI is fine. Now, it's not great. Sometimes it does take you out a little bit of the movie a little bit, but it's definitely still, to me, not as bad as the original. If I had one major complaint, maybe not even major, It's the music. I don't think the music is as good in this one as it is in the original. In the original, they had the Superman theme, the Wonder Woman theme, and the Batman theme playing throughout the movie. Here, it just seems like generic orchestral music sometimes, and to me, it's just not as good as the original. Also, some minor spoilers ahead, but I just want to touch on some minor complaints that I have for the film, so if you don't want to hear those, click to this timestamp. And if you don't care, take a listen. So, one of the dumb things that I didn't like about this was, again, minor nitpicks. Steppenwolf's spider thing that would read people's minds. I don't understand what the point of interrogating was when he could just read people's minds with this thing. It seemed kind of dumb. Flash's scene where he's applying for a job at a dog groomer was creepy and just, it felt poorly written. And see, this is the problem with a 4-hour movie, is you can cut some of these things, and that is a scene that I would definitely cut because it didn't need to be in the movie whatsoever. He saves this girl, and he gets really creepy with her a little bit, with just like admiring her while he's saving her. Like, her life is in danger, she's about to die. But it's just sort of weird and uncomfortable to watch, and it just drags on and lasts way too long. So that could have been cut from the movie entirely, in my opinion. So yeah, even with a 4-hour runtime of the movie, I still think there are scenes that could be cut. One last thing that's kind of spoilery is that I think could be cut is the ending. This suffers from Return of the King syndrome, where there's a bunch of endings toward the movie that feel like they could just wrap it up already. I don't think the nightmare sequence at the end of the film is necessary at all. Besides Joker talking to Batman, it doesn't really do anything besides set up injustice, which I know they're going for, but they've been setting that up so much that I felt it unnecessary to put in the film. Plus, I don't know if we're getting more Snyder movies. I don't know if this universe is going to keep going. So it just felt like empty promises of what could possibly be. So, welcome back to those who didn't want to see spoilers or hear spoilers, but I will say, with the 4-hour runtime, even though scenes could get cut, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a 4-hour movie, it does allow for the story to be more coherent and the pace to be much smoother. Honestly, I'm always going to root for the filmmaker. I am so glad Zack Snyder finally came back to direct his vision, make his Justice League, because of the tragic events that caused him to derail the original, and that caused the original to derail, I should say, and him leaving the project. It's just good to see him finally be able to complete his work. So, the original I gave a 5 out of 10, and I think this movie is much better, with some minor gripes and some minor nitpicks, I would say. Overall, it's not a perfect movie, but I really just don't have anything horrible to say about it. If Snyder's not your thing, you're not going to like the movie. That's just a fact. But it is a good comic book movie. One of the better ones I've seen in the last couple years. It's a 4-hour film, and I feel like I would watch that movie again. Not the original, which was only half its length, but this movie is so good that I would watch it again. So I'm giving the Snyder Cut an 8 out of 10. I liked it. It got me pumped and wanting for more Snyderverse, which I didn't think would be possible. So I would go ahead and check this one out if you have an afternoon to dedicate to it. But honestly, take the time. It's broken up in parts. There's more than enough room to stop and come back to it later. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know what you think of the Snyder Cut. Do you want more movies in the Snyderverse? Or are you done with DC and you just kind of want to move on and forget about it? And did you like the movie? Did you not like the movie? Did you watch the movie? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.